firsthand the militarization of the local police department in small towns. And because of a lot of the fear-mongering with the media, they almost welcome it. So what is the solution, other than the media is very biased, but a lot of Americans are aware of, the NSA problems and the police state that's emerging, but for a lot of people, like I said, they welcome it. So what is the solution, and what practically can we do to get people to wake up?
Well, there are some areas where I think we're doing pretty badly and other areas where I think things are turning around. And one of them is that the younger people, well, they might be confused on economics. Well, that's what the Mises Institute is here for. But they're much better on war, and they're much more skeptical of the police. They don't buy into the superstitions of their parents. And I used to, by the way. I used to think that anybody who had any problem with the police was a pinko commie who should pack his bags and get on out of the good old USA. And now I see that I shouldn't have thought that way. But the younger people don't have some of the superstitions we have. And they're all, Lou mentioned Cop Block. That's funny. I was just on their Facebook page a couple weeks ago. They had about 73,000 likes. Then I checked the other day. They were at 94,000 likes. With that kind of growth, everybody would be a member of Cop Block by the end of this seminar. So, they're young people plus the ability to communicate forbidden ideas and videos and clips of what's really going on. So I don't know how this is all going to work out, but that is an explosive and very, very welcome combination. Anybody else want
to? Okay. Where's our mic? Oh, it's this young man.
Hello, my name is Anton Chamberlain. I go to Altoona High School in Georgia. And I know, being the young age that I am, even I at times can be discouraged at times, that things aren't necessarily going the way I necessarily want them to. And I was wondering how the three of y'all have been able to maintain your enthusiasm or been able to work through the adversities that have been given to you by the media blackouts and just the naysayers and the people that call you neo-Confederates, and just how you've been able to work through those and maintain your sanity pretty much. Thank you.
Well, there's nothing to be dour about. We still have a level of material prosperity that we enjoy every day that generations before us never enjoyed. We still have a degree of freedom of speech, and we have the digital age to allow us to communicate. But lots and lots. We always, I think, have this sort of fantasy, or that we live in the most dangerous and dramatic times of all, and we're pikers compared to a lot of folks at a lot of different stages in history. So I still wake up with a smile on my face, and I have two young children, so that's my motivator.
We're not going to. I want to jump in on that just
Sure.
for a second. I've got a fifth child coming, because our philosophy is we're just going to win the battle of ideas through sheer numbers. But seriously, we should, in a way, we haven't got any, anytime you're feeling down, I want you to throw some cold water in your face, smack yourself around, and try and think about what it would have been like to be Murray Rothbard in 1967. The National Review crowd won't have anything to do with you, even though you're next to Mises, the greatest living economist. The left, well, you can reach out a little bit to them, but increasingly less and less as the 60s go on. You are a free market economist who's anti-war. You could fit all of you in a phone booth. Remember those? And or Mises dies in 1973. Hayek gets the Nobel Prize the next year. Mises doesn't live to see it. And yet he just carries on. He doesn't get the feed. He can't send out a tweet and get 100 retweets instantly and be validated. Right? And yet, here we've got these tremendous advantages. We have the Mises Institute with a great reach, Dr. Paul with over 1 million likes on Facebook. We've got this ability to reach people that Rothbard and Mises could only have dreamed of, and yet they thoroughly enjoyed their lives. They didn't say, woe is me, and, things aren't going so well. Compared to them, we've got it made in the shade. So smack yourself around if you're getting discouraged.
I get a similar question asked frequently. How did you survive all those years up there? Wasn't it really frustrating for you? And I said, no, I was never frustrated. Never once. I tell them I just had low expectations. But there's some truth to that, is your expectations make a difference. If I thought that, me being in Congress, I first went to Congress in 76, that I was going to all of a sudden change that system. I think I understood it a little bit better than that. So I wasn't expecting to do that. quite frankly, I think more came of it than I ever dreamed, because even after having been there for a long time, there's still, I think Jeff might have mentioned that, I would talk to smaller crowds. Well, for a long time, I would go to college campuses and get 15 or 20 people out, and something changed in '07, all of a sudden, but things came together. So, but in Washington, I wasn't frustrated, and I tried to make the best of it, and I really, really welcomed a type of a victory. I remembered Leonard Reed's advice that, your approach has to be to spread the message. It has to be, a much more calm demeanor. You don't grab a guy from the shirt and say, this is the way it is, and you're going to listen to me. He says, become knowledgeable. He says, somebody might ask you a question. And when they do, it's important. And I can remember, and many of you in this room will know the name of Walter Jones from North Carolina. Walter Jones right now is probably the strongest anti-war proponent in Washington. He's not a libertarian. He admits that, but he changed his mind on that. But I remember him coming, sitting down next to me, and he was having second thoughts about why his voting for the war, and he wanted me to explain how you can be a conservative and be opposed to the war. And all of a sudden, light bulbs went on. So for all the things that should have made me frustrated, a Walter Jones and a couple others gave me a lot of encouragement.
And he came from a highly military district, right? He had no interest whatsoever in changing his mind.
I'll just say for me, the two things that count are, first of all, we have the truth on our side. And I think in a secular sense and in a religious sense, we know the truth will triumph. Also, it's fun to give the bad guys a hot foot. I mean, it's fun to fight them. So for me, those are the two things.
Now, Lou, do you want to explain to our younger folks what a hot foot is? I think that's another term like peace officer that we've... Next question. Who's up?
Hello, my name is Chris Russell. I'd just like to get the panelists' opinion on the Free State Project, which, for those of you who aren't familiar, is an effort to move 20,000 liberty-loving people to New Hampshire to exercise liberty in our lifetime. So I'm not a participant yet, but I'd just like to get your opinion on the Free State Project, and also, would you ever consider geographically the Mises Institute participating in or moving to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project?
Well, my mother was from New Hampshire. I spent a lot of time in New Hampshire as a kid. I love New Hampshire. And I think the Free State Project is a very neat idea because it's being targeted, as Tom pointed out, by the police and the newspapers. But it's I think it's terrific. For the Mises Institute, we have a wonderful, in fact, I want to invite everybody to come and visit us. We have a wonderful campus in Auburn. So that's not movable, for good or ill. We couldn't move it.
On the Free State movement, I think it's fine, and I hope it works. I probably wouldn't move to New Hampshire, it just wouldn't be in the cards. But the only way I see that it could be a shortcoming is I want...
For all of us.
I can't believe Woodsian is being used as a pejorative here.
Hi, I'm Ken Hoover from Cypress, Texas. I got a question for Dr. Woods. Would you share briefly with this audience concerning the recent controversy with Mark Levin?
Oh, I really don't want to, but only because you asked. There's this radio host, and I don't really want to dwell on him, but he wasn't particularly nice to our esteemed friend and scholar here during the campaign. But Mark Levin's a radio host. He's got 8 gazillion listeners, and they're very loyal to him, and good for him for that. And I don't bother with this guy. I don't listen to him. I don't respond to him, whatever. Except when he attacks me or somebody else. Then I defend myself. And the thing is that then I defend myself and people say, Woods, why can't you just work together with Levin? And, well, do you ever say, Levin, why can't you work together? Like, why is it always me, right? I mean, I hope these parents aren't teaching their kids, if you're getting beaten up on the playground, why aren't you working together with that kid? Look, you've got to defend yourself sometime. And he was saying terrible things about me, about Judge Napolitano. He wouldn't use the judge's name, but he would call him Judge some bad name, and we all know who he means. And I don't have time to make many YouTubes anymore because I'm recording videos on history and economics and government for a certain slave driver's homeschool curriculum over here. So I don't have a lot of time, but it was only because I felt, there we go. It was only because, but that was a voluntarily agreed to whipping, so that's okay. I don't have time, but I felt like I've got to. I know this sounds melodramatic, but I thought lately he's been really attacking people who support state nullification. He says that you're kooks, you're crazy, but I have a pretty good argument for it, and he has not actually tried to address that. And I just thought, all right, I just can't let this go on without a response. So I made a response, and I told him, if you want to keep calling names, there's no way I can stop you. I've never called you a name. I said none of the other people you're calling names have called you a name. And I even said we were probably raised differently from you, so that may have something to do with it. I said, but if you want to debate me anytime you want, let's go ahead. You name the place, and you and I will have a debate. And I even was proposing judges who would determine a winner, and then we'll have a cash award for his favorite charity if I lose. And then if I win, I have another charity, and he's not going to like giving money to it. So that's that.
I was talking to somebody once about being a successful talk show host, and I thought that would be a neat thing to do, but I don't think I'm cut out for that. I don't know whether you consider yourself a talk show host, but they told me how to be a successful talk show host, and the many big shots in this country that are talk show hosts. And maybe they got, to be so big because they said a successful talk show host is somebody who can talk forever without saying anything.
This gentleman's been very patient.
My name is Israel Freeland. I'm out of Austin, Texas. And first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for being here because it's not every day that you can sit amongst peers and heroes. That being said, I'm also appreciative that you've mentioned Sheriff Andy Griffith as well as the Tank Man, so much so that I have the Tank Man tattooed on the back of my leg. Yeah. I'm currently over a decade in active duty with the military. I've been to the Balkans, I've been to Iraq, and being part of that, it has its plus sides, and I feel more so its negatives. I still have about 18 months left in my current contract, and because so, I feel like I'm contractually obligated to be there. But I feel, too, while being there, I was able to mentor fellow soldiers so much so that they voted for Dr. Paul. And I see the militarization of our police force, where my own personal friend, Antonio Beeler, who is also a combat vet, who started the Peaceful Streets Project with the help of Pete from Cop Block. And I see what they're doing after the fact. And I see, especially like the APD, so much so trying to recruit from within the military while we're serving to go over there. And I feel like, well, how do you combat that? How do I join the APD too to hopefully try to influence and be a Sheriff Andy Griffith? Or do I continue along the road of filming police officers? Or do I attend these and try to pass that on to my children? I guess I'm looking for some guidance because I feel that I am defeated, where I feel like those small victories or those low expectations, I don't know if it's enough right now.
Boy, that is a hard one.
Well, I know a lot of young people over the years have asked Ron, what should they do?
What do you do? Leave. Well, I think it's a personal choice. Every individual has to make that choice. Some people leave and get out of it and reject it. You're talking about being on active duty, mostly?
Yes, sir.
I had a couple people on my channel the other day interviewed my husband and wife.